Shalom. I'm Minister Dr. Cynthia Marie Whitley, but I'm not your conventional minister. The name of this podcast is Be Aware. Be aware of your thoughts. Each week, we will review self-realization tips using primarily biblical references through storytelling. We will reflect on our thoughts and become aware. Stop judging me. To whom am I talking? I'm talking about other people, and most of all, I'm talking about myself. Stop judging me. While doing a particular project, I suddenly realized that I'm always judging myself or beating up on myself. It's that feeling of never wanting to be caught with my pants down. I don't want my imperfection, in quotes, to shine through in anything I do. It's in quotes because I'm talking about physical things, objects, not my perfection as God's creation. Oh no, it can't be found out that I am a fraud because I hadn't done my job 100%. I keep myself from elevating because of this fear of judgment. Sure, I'm taking leaps and bounds, but imagine if I release and let go and let the Spirit run my life. As per Ricky Bayer's song from Agape Spiritual Center. That's why I love Dorothy and the Wiz and the Wizard of Oz so much. What I discovered while writing my first book, Looking for Self in All the Wrong Places, based on the Wiz, still stands today. We lack nothing. Wisdom, courage, compassion, and home are all within us. Remember the lion who was petrified of being labeled as a fraud? In The Wiz, he says, I've been thrown out of the jungle. I was exiled. I'm a lion without courage. He believed that he was separated from his highest source, as we do most of the time. We ignore the kingdom that lies within us, and most of the times don't even know our ruling power, or we do and rule unjustly. This day, as I was redecorating, I was aware that I was covering up the imperfections in my painting project, or at least what I considered were the imperfections of the project. That's in back of me, the green bookshelf. I definitely didn't want anyone to see the mess I was creating on my way to creating my finished product. I was afraid of being judged as a junky person, even though I had a finished product in mind. I was saying to my daughter, whose junky house is this? She answered, Mom, it takes uncovering every corner of the house so that you can create anew. When I decided to paint my bookshelves, which you can also see on the cover of this podcast, I was leaving out certain areas of the bookshelf on purpose. To the expert in painting that was present, it appeared as imperfections. At least that is what I thought. I was intentionally only painting the parts that would be seen. I was all right with my decision to leave parts unpainted because if I changed or moved the bookshelves around on another occasion, there was enough paint to take care of what wasn't taken care of in the first place. The problem was that the perfectionist came behind me and painted heights I could not reach. This bothered me. I listened to his criticism of the unpainted parts and knew darn well that I left out several parts on purpose. I felt less than because he saw my omissions, which I labeled as imperfect. I felt judged even though he says that was not his intention. It was the repetition of his word and facial expressions that I was judging to mean what I wanted it to mean. I would have done it another way, he says. In retrospect, and according to the previous podcast, Stop Lying, I know now that I was judging myself. I was making up the story of shame and embarrassment in my head. I've decided in my life to act on my own feelings after consideration now and get into action the best way I know how to accomplish my goals. From this time forth, I will stop making up stories of imperfections. I must do the work that is set in my heart to do and not judge it nor take in criticism of others unless they have valuable insight to offer. I'm reminded of the reel on Instagram using Beyonce's voice that says, "Don't you talk about what you're going to do. Don't just dream about what you're going to do. Don't criticize somebody else for what they're not doing. You be it. Be about it. Be about that action and do it. Keep your eyes on your intention. Don't let any outside distractions or your own insecurity stop you from your goals. Embrace that struggle. Surviving that struggle will strengthen you." I realize now that I've always felt that way. When I was a teenager, I didn't go outside until I felt I was as perfectly presentable and put together as I could be. Hair done up nicely, clothes pressed, and maybe even I sewed a garment to my best ability. And then I presented myself to the world. Shoes had to be repaired if one side started to lean over on or the other. The hair on the back of my neck pressed so that it was straight and not beady bead, or what we call nappy in my culture during that time. When I was in the temple and the wife of a priest, my now deceased husband would be teaching the sermon, and a more experienced or seasoned priest would show up, and he would give the floor to the higher priest after only a few minutes of speaking, simply because they had more years of experience. We were both the same way. It's as though we were raised by the same parents. We were raised in the same community. Maybe that's what it is. I started thinking about all the areas of my life where imperfection showed up or where I judged myself. I remember learning that if you are using certain mannerisms or ways of being in one area of your life, then you are applying it in all areas of your life. It was playing in my head like a broken record. I was dwelling in that space for much too long, though, and my creation was becoming tainted, resting in this state of mind. In retrospect, I won't call my work imperfect at all. I proceeded in this new state of being and felt better, which allowed me to complete my masterpiece. This is how I accomplished most of my work, from my doctorate to authoring several books, to raising 8 children, to teaching in the Chapter 1 public school in New York City, and whatever else I will and have already accomplished. In each case, I had to close my doors and do what I felt was best to get the ultimate outcome and produce some of my best work. We can listen to the good and bad criticism and opinions of ourselves and others, but according to the late Wayne Dyer, we are to carry on anyway, going forward to accomplish our goal. So take it easy. Take it easy on yourself. Shalom for now. If you can't wait until next week's story, visit Looking for Self series on Amazon.com under Gershona Cynthia Whitley. Shalom. Where my tribe at? Where my people at? I've been a storyteller all my life. I love telling stories, but I come now equipped with information, with self-help information from my study of more than 40 years. I have a lot to give and I want to give it to you. So listen to my stories on my podcast, on my YouTube channel, and in my books. Yes, in my books. Come to see where I'm coming from so that you can see how what I have to put forward can benefit you, how it can increase and have you increase in your life. Shalom.